Hello, Vibe Coders. Welcome to Vibe Codelicious. We're continuing our stream where we have been doing something that falls under the category of harness engineering, where we are modifying our LLM harness so that it performs better. How are we modifying it? By adding a plugin that provides two new tools to the LLM. The new tools, one allows it to take a chunk of the context and replace that chunk with a much smaller summary. And the other tool allows it to recall that chunk back into the context if it needs to. This means that as the context starts growing and the LLM sort of moves forward in its tasks and whatever it's doing, the older things it was doing before can be just summarized so that they no longer take up space in the context. So we're doing the active development on the plugin. Right now, we're trying to minimize the number of changes that we need to the core of OpenCode to let our plugin work. That's the primary project. And then we're running several side smaller projects, more or less in a vibe code fashion, just to use the tool to see Context Bonsai happen in action and make sure that it's effective, that the LLM is invoking the tools at the right times and in the right way. So let's get to it. So this screen has the Context Bonsai project. Let me get my little notepad up here to make sure we know what we're talking about. Oops, fine. Project, this is Context Bonsai. Okay. Now, what we're doing is I asked the plugin to go look at the changes that we made to OpenCode and look at the plugin as it exists now, because we've made many changes to the plugin after the original OpenCode changes, and it turns out there was a lot of stuff we did in OpenCode that we didn't end up actually need. So I had it go dig into the changes we made, identify exactly which parts we're still using, and come up with a plan to sort of rebase those changes onto the latest dev branch of OpenCode. So here I was talking about the various things that we don't need anymore. I was making sure that the plugin ID changes we made to the original OpenCode really aren't needed. And it thinks it is. So this might be a two-part plan where a little bit more changes needed to the plugin and additional changes are needed to OpenCode to further simplify it. Okay, so I'm gonna see if we actually do need to change the plugin part of it or if the plugin part of it is already fine. It says yes. If you want to fully remove the hard-coded plugin ID, then we need coordinated plans. Great. Let's build those plans. You know where the planning guidance.md document is. Let's make two separate plans. Ba-ba-dum. Oh, geez, and it just spit out the plan. Okay, nope, stop. Stop, guys, stop, stop, stop. Okay, all right, there we go. Reread the doc, buddy. Okay, so now let's take a look at one of the side projects. This is the image to maze project. Now to recap, in the past, we have built this tool to generate a maze based on a picture that we give it. So here is a house silhouette, and it created a maze that fits onto this house silhouette. The end is up here, and the start is down here. And you can follow this path until you get all the way to the end. So that's where it is now. And I'm working on some improvements. One is a different method for generating this map based on electronic design software. It uses tools called auto routing. So here is the current state of our auto routing based method of maze generation. Now it looks a lot like some of our very, very early attempts of this that didn't use auto routing, but it used a different method. However, both the original method and this auto routing method is based on this grid system, and it makes this very particular style of output. And I'm not that excited about it. It looks like a maze, except the problem is what looks like the corridors that you go through, that's not the maze part. The maze part is actually these thin lines. You follow these lines to go on the maze. So yeah, again, the start's down in this corner on one of these thin lines, and the end is up here. Another thing I didn't like were these comb patterns at the edges. They're not very attractive to me. And they're also, for the maze, they're just obvious dead ends. Although I'm not quite sure how that would get fixed. And also the auto routing tools for electronics are not restricted to a grid system like this. They can kind of make a free-form traces. They can go on diagonals. So I think I will talk to the LLM about how we can restructure this so that it doesn't need the grid system. Okay, another thing I started doing was playing with grayscale images instead of pure black and white. So this one is a picture of a banana. It didn't really work that well. This is using the auto routing method. But you can at least see somewhat of an outline of the banana, which is interesting, but we still need some work. After this, I created a slightly different image of the banana, a high key image, I think is what I did. And I used the other maze generator, and this is what it looks like, and this is much worse. You can somewhat see a curved area here that's less dense, and these outside areas are more dense, but you can't really tell that that's a banana. And then I tried to take that maze and overlay it on top of the banana picture. Oh, it was the low-key image. I overlaid it on top of the banana picture, and you can see, yeah, the light areas are low density, the dark areas are high density. And it's somewhat the opposite of what we would want for this particular image. So right now, the next step I'm going to do is try to talk to the LLM about whether it can invert it so that the more dense areas are the light parts of the image and the less dense areas are the dark part of the image, because depending on which image we're using, we might want one or the other. However, as I was talking to the LLM and having it generate these messages, it started running these commands that generated huge amounts of output, which meant the context was getting full, which is pretty neat. This is a giant output from this tool. And eventually, here, it suddenly saw that it needs to prune. And what's interesting is its output chose to sort of speak in a very terse language without like articles and things. It's a need prune now. Preserve memory. User expects overlaid mode commit exist and wants look through commits. Prune large range, maybe from early, but already pruned many. Need immediate prune, maybe from. So it's really interesting. It seems to be trying to use as few words as possible to say what it needs to say, because it got the little system reminder that said your context is a certain percent full. I think it probably got up to 60 something percent. So the that system reminder, it sort of escalates. The larger the context is, the more urgent that system reminder text is that says it really needs to prune. So it's pretty interesting that it chose to speak in this way. And then it did a prune operation, and it lowered the context window down to 40 something percent, and then continued the work that it was doing. So that is perfect. That worked really well in this case. The only thing that could have improved was that it could have pruned earlier on its own as we transitioned from one task to the next. But it didn't prune early, so it got to this point where it was pretty extreme, and it had this kind of text. But it did, in the end, take care of things before it had to do the auto compaction, which is neat. Okay. So first I asked it if there was already a way to invert the density of the maze, and it says there's no flag right now. It suggests inverting the source image first. Or it can add a new option. I'm going to have it add a new option. Oh, there. Create a plan for adding this new option. Follow the planning guidance.md.doc. Okay, let's see what is happening back on the Context Bonsai plugin. Did it follow the proper steps? It's still, oh, this is in plan mode for some reason. I wonder how long that's been like that. Usually it writes these to a file rather than outputting them to the screen. And I told it to read the planning guidance.md.doc, and it didn't read it. It just said it's going to follow it more strictly, but it didn't launch subagents. It's not doing it. So I'm going to exit the plan mode. Is that how you do it? I think there. Okay. Okay, it is gonna ask me something. One decision to lock before finalizing these plans. Should story 2 clear only the active resolved key on retrieve, or clear both new and legacy when either is present? What is story 2? Okay, this is story 2. Migrate archive metadata namespacing from direct hard-coded plugin ID usage to runtime derived. Ah. Okay, and it's asking what? Oh goodness, it's doing its weird scrolling stuff again. Clear only the active resolved key on retrieve, or clear both new and legacy. I'm going to have to ask it what it means by this. Okay. Now it's launching subagents to validate the story. Good. Now it's doing the right thing. Let's check back on this project. The image to maze project is still doing the planning phase. So both of these are cooking. We're going to move to our next side project, which is where we were adding VI modal editing to the Pi agent. So let's see. What was the last thing that happened? Oh, I told it to orchestrate the plan. So yeah, we came up previously with a few VI editing commands that weren't working yet, and had it create a plan to fix those, and then I had it orchestrate that plan, and it looks like it finished doing all of that. So it's time to test again. Okay, and what were the plans? It might just be that one. Yeah, I think we already reviewed these. Then this is the one to fix stuff. What things needed fixing in 10? So one was the cursor style. One was the from until commands. If you hit comma or semicolon to repeat that, it was flip-flopping instead of proceeding in the opposite direction of the original command. Oh, it looks like maybe those were just the only two things. Let's see. Oops. So first, let's create a pattern, and then we can say TF, that goes to the next F, and then if I repeat, not working. If I repeat the opposite way, it's still flip-flopping. Interesting. Let's make sure it's built. And over here, we'll close this out and get ready to restart. Oh yeah, this, okay. Oops, build. Okay. So now it's built. Let's try it again. Oops, there. Okay. Okay, big T, S. That works. And repeat, repeat, repeat. Hey, that works. Comma, comma, comma. Okay, that got fixed. So, and the other thing was in insert mode, it's supposed to switch to a bar cursor, and that's not happening. It's still the block style cursor. Okay. I'm gonna teach it how to test its own stuff. Let me do this. Okay. There's one tmux session. Use tmux send keys and capture pane to operate the Pi agent. It will start up in Vim mode. Test the cursor style change for insert normal mode. Okay, so now we should see the agent run Pi and test its own stuff. Let's see what happens. Maybe I will split this. How do you... Oh, I know. There. Okay. It's doing something in a loop. What is this? Capture pane. Oh, it's sending keys and then waiting and then capturing the pane again. Okay, so yeah, it just typed ABC over there. Okay. I tested it directly in the tmux session using send keys, started raw output, sent mode toggles, stopped capture, parsed the log for cursor style escape sequences, raw evidence, raw bytes. There's the bytes. There's that. Interpretation. Normal mode emits block cursor sequence. Insert mode emits a bar cursor sequence. Then back to normal block again. In this tmux run, insert normal cursor style switching is happening at the terminal output level. No, it's not. Let's go look up what these commands mean. Slash x1b. Okay, let's see. I need a browser. Here we go. And we want NC terminal escape codes. Okay. Look for cursor controls. All right, and 1B is the escape, and bracket 1. Not sure. Let's take another look at that. Let me make sure. Here is... Oh, actually, we can find out in an easier way. Let's man ASCII. 1B, was it? There we go, escape. Yep. 1B is escape. Okay. So, yeah, it was escape, left bracket 1, space Q. Here's a 7, save cursor position, 8, restore. Oh, that's actually escape space 8. We need bracket. Just bracket number without a letter after it. Here's a bracket number and a J. There's some colors. There's escape. There's bracket equals, bracket question mark. I don't know about this. Oh, the bracket is part of the escape sequence. So it's escape bracket is the escape sequence. So it's 1 space Q and 2 space Q. So let's search here maybe for Q. Or maybe search for... Why isn't this working? Oh, there we go. Number Q. Number space Q. All right, let's try a different reference. Wikipedia. Cursor. I don't see a Q here or here. I don't see anything that specifies that number Q changes the cursor. Let's look for block. Nope. Well, yeah. Okay. Escape bracket PSSPQ, often written as CSIPSQ with a little space before Q. Okay, let's try that. NC set cursor style. Interesting. Cursor positioning, I don't need. Cursor visibility, nope, not that. Cursor shape, here it is. So, default, configured by the user, blinking block, steady block. So 2 is the steady block, 3, blinking underline cursor shape, 4, steady underline cursor shape, blinking bar cursor shape, steady bar cursor shape. So we want 6. So I'm looking for where it says that it saw the output here. So it saw it change it to 6, but it's not. Let's take a look at this ourselves. Whoa. Oh, jeez. This. Please don't scroll when I try to copy. There. Okay. Okay, how did it get that? How was that created? Okay, with tmux pipe pane dash T0. Oh, I've never even heard of pipe pane. That is cool. Huh. Let's see if we can do this. Let's go here, there. No. What else did I have? Dash cat to standard out. No. Need at most 1. That. No. All right, let's take another look. Well, yeah, that should work. Huh. Let's just try this and that. Oh, is it gonna... So, because tmux is like a daemon process, maybe the daemon itself is now taking care of that in the background rather than this doing it in the foreground. So now, tail the log, let's see what happens when I do stuff. Oh, did I already kill it? Is this is not it. Oh, it's here. Okay, so insert. Oh, escape. And I see nothing in the tail. Huh. Oh, stuff did come out, but... Oh, how do I know? Oh, it's OD. Well, something did happen. My cursor now in this window is completely messed up. And there's some bytes. Well, yeah, that's basically what I did. Okay. Huh. Nice. So 1B, 5B, 31, 32, 35, 36. Okay. So, yeah, there's my random letters that I was typing. Okay, let's try again. Can I... Oh, this is going to be hard to use. I'm going to maybe put reset. Now I have a cursor. And now I can rerun that. And right now it's empty. Let's go to our tmux and run insert, then type A, then escape, then insert, A, escape. Okay. Whoa, that is so much more than I typed. What was it? 5B35. 5B30, 5B35, 71, 5B36, 71. Let's maybe search for 5B35. Okay. Only 2, and there's 71? Huh. Oh, it does end in 71. So, oh. I actually want 5B36. 5B36. There they are. So there's the 2 times I pressed escape I. So theoretically that changes it to the bar cursor, but it's just not working. Huh. Or was there some library in OpenCode that allowed you to specify the cursor type? All right, let's see if it decided to hard code these sequences or if they're in OpenCode's GUI already. They're hard coded in our implementation. Okay. So there isn't an OpenCode helper library API like set cursor type. We're sending the raw codes. So let's see if we can get it to dig into OpenCode and see if it should have done it a different way. And it's still claiming that it doesn't exist. Huh. Okay, well, I have low confidence that it's going to be able to solve the problem. I'm not even sure how I would solve the problem. Okay, so it's digging into OpenCode some. Context Bonsai project is asking for permission to read some files. Yep, that is perfectly fine for what it's doing. Always allow. Confirm. And that's also fine. Okay. Then image to maze. How's this looking? It created a plan. Add a density inversion option. Okay. A new banana maze using this and the less star key star, no, samples, that. It's not pasting, huh? Banana low key.png file. Oops. Okay, the Pi agent investigation, it finished. Okay. It says there's likely a second control path overriding visibility. I don't like what it ends with likely. It means it didn't do enough digging. Most likely clause in this code base. Oh, it provided some amount of evidence. Okay, well, let's see what it says. Pi hides the hardware cursor by default unless show hardware cursor is enabled. Maybe. The style sequences are emitted, but then cursor visibility is forced off, so shape changes are not visible. Evidence. TUI defaults hardware cursor off unless settings enable it. Huh. Focus positioning hides cursor when that flag is off. Focus positioning hides cursor. Don't know what that means. Terminal hide show APIs are separate from style APIs. In your pane capture, we saw style codes followed by hide cursor bytes. Aha! Which matches this behavior. The setting exists for this explicitly. Show hardware cursor. So yes, this is consistent with the style codes being emitted correctly, but hidden hardware cursor making those style changes effectively invisible. If that's the case, then why is there a visible cursor? Does Pi render its own cursor? Searching. Okay. Back to image to maze. Error. Oh, did it only create the plan and not the... Oh, yeah. Oops. I guess we have to actually orchestrate. And let's hang out long enough to make sure it does the right thing. That orchestrate keyword is supposed to trigger it to read some files that tell it how to do that. First, it's pruning. Pretty cool that it spontaneously pruned again, because we're kind of moving on to a new task. Now it's starting developer implementation. I'm going to take a look at the subagent that it launches to make sure that it's following the right patterns here. Oh yeah, that looks normal. Yep, all of that's correct. Okay, great. Oops. Okay. Now back to the Context Bonsai plugin. Okay. Actually, before we do Context Bonsai, let's go back to the Pi thing, see what it found out. Pi renders its own fake cursor. Okay. Okay, then we need to undo the changes that deal with the cursor style. Look through all planning documents to figure out what to undo. After that, we'll create a plan to undo those and redo it the right way. Boom. Okay, there it goes. And I might have to tell it doing it the right way does not mean showing the hardware cursor, because there's probably a reason that Pi decides to not show a hardware cursor. It probably wants extra control over the cursor. Reviewed the planning docs and traced what would need to be undone for the work. And yeah, there was one story that had multiple changes. One was the repeating the from till commands, and the other was the cursor style, and it wants to keep half of that, which is good. Create the plan by following planning guidance.md. It's not doing the right thing, I'm pretty sure. Because planning guidance.md starts by saying validate your approach with a subagent before you even write a plan file. We'll see what happens. The image to maze is still busy implementing the invert story. Okay, so the Pi agent, or the Pi project, is at least, it created a document and now it's validating the document with subagents. So at least that part is correct. Now we can flip back to the Context Bonsai. So what did it do previously? It was generating a plan and validating that plan. And then I asked it this question and it stopped. Okay. After migration, a message might contain both archive keys, the legacy key and the new runtime derived key. When retrieve runs, we need a rule for what to delete. When retrieve runs, we need a rule for what to delete. Archive only clear, read picks one key, and retrieve deletes only that one. Retrieve should not be deleting stuff. Why is retrieve deleting anything? Oh, deleting a key off, deleting the archived key. Unprune, yeah. Okay. Yeah, clear both. Well, can we modify the plugin so the key is the same, even though it's not relying on the plumbing to get it anymore. Just create the two plans and have them validated as planning guidance.md says. Planning epic with 2 stories. Perfect. Let's see. Image to maze is still working. The Pi agent is still working. All right. Well, 3 agents are cooking away. And I think I will limit it to that. 3 agents is already probably confusing enough to watch. As I bounce between these things, adding a 4th parallel project is probably a bit much to keep track of on a stream. So I guess as these are cooking, I'll go ahead and end the stream now, and we'll pick up here where we left off tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.